I remember that day vividly. It was October 8th, 2003. I rattled off triumphantly my well-rehearsed opening statement at the big debate on abusive language and slurs. The follow-up rebuttal session was scheduled to take place shortly after a lunch break. So 45 minutes later, I had to abandon the pleasurable smells of freshly brewed coffee and rosemary-flavored baked potatoes, as well as the comfort of a white leather sofa, when the announcer's voice boomed out of a loudspeaker. And now, ladies and gentlemen, is the time for our rebuttal session. And so, vigorous, full of ideas, determined to battle it out, I hopped back on stage, only to find out later that I was headed for disaster. Indeed, what happened in the following half an hour turned out a nightmare to me. Too scary to even recall it. I couldn't answer any of the questions the opposing side put to me. I could barely pronounce a word. Have you ever experienced a feeling like that in front of an audience? Why do you think it happened to me? Well, let me give you the answer. I had a grave speech impediment. You see, at a point in a conversation where it would have been most timely to share my thoughts, chip in my well-informed opinion, or make an objection, my voice would treacherously crackle, words barely slip in my mouth, and the stutter would get the better of me. I'd go speechless. Please note, not figuratively speechless, literally speechless. I couldn't utter a word. You bet it hurt. You bet it gave me tons of pain. And no wonder it made me glossophobic, self-conscious, and overall sociophobic. I used to cry my eyes out over it. To make matters even worse, though, I was being bullied, taunted, and mocked for that. Imagine what a nerve-wracking and harrowing experience it was to me as a young kid. But now, some 12 years later, I'm teaching workshops on business communication and public speaking, giving live interviews, interpreting at negotiations, lecturing students on neuroscience and linguistics. How in thunder could such a drastic change possibly occur? Well, my solution was three-pronged. Number one, self-education. Number two, effectively not giving a hoot about the so-dubbed public opinion and the noxious peer pressure and widely held misconceptions. And finally, number three, science. Now, it strikes me as weird that in the 21st century, when someone's communication reaches a dead end and grinds to a halt, many just shrug it off, saying, "You know what? I can't speak." Oh, really? You know, it freaks me out when otherwise smart people claim they can't speak. Wait a minute. Let's clear that up. By claiming you can't speak, do you really mean to say that your angular gyrus, or your Wernicke's area, or your Broca's area, or your motor cortex doesn't function properly or is damaged? Do you have fMRI or PET scans proving that? Do you really mean to say you can't pronounce certain words? Or, for that matter, do you mean to say your vocal apparatus can't articulate certain combinations of consonants and vowels? Well, in most cases, I presume not. You can speak, but the rub is, sometimes you don't know how to speak properly, how to express your ideas both authentically and efficiently, how to neatly arrange, craft, and deliver a well-structured and impactful speech geared to serve your interests and your communicative needs. Worse still, the second type of responding to miscommunication, especially in Ukraine, is bullying, intimidation, and violence. Taking out firearms and going rat-tat-tat, shooting each other. How come these barbarian thugs even made it to the 21st century? Let's bracket that question. Yet there are those who do realize that on the one hand they can speak, and on the other that scumbags' behavior, bullying and violence are clearly not an option within a civilized 21st century society. Still, these people very often, to fix their problems with communication, revert to outright charlatans, cheap frauds, glib sectarian crackpots, and strings of other self-avowed motivational and business trainers, speech coaches, who often don't have the flimsiest idea of what they're talking about, but who nevertheless boisterously palm off their sugar-coated garbage and bogus teachings under the rubric of successful communication, or the art of rhetoric, or the essentials of public speaking, or how to be a successful... Gosh, on some days it makes me sick and distresses the hell out of me. You know, I feel really sorry for those duped and fooled by such frauds and charlatans. Indeed, in the 21st century, people unfortunately seem ready to put their trust in and their money on anything but science. You know, soothsayers, psychics, sorcerers, motivators, religion, sects, anything but science. However, in 2015, science comes up with substantiated and rational answers to most burning questions. Science furnishes well-founded, intellectually sound, viable, and truth-based strategies, solutions, and clues to most real-life challenges. Business communication and public speaking belong to one of these domains. In fact, now there is a whole constellation of various rapidly developing scientific disciplines and sub-disciplines focusing on the nature and scope of human brain and human mind, the development and improvement of speech, various forms of social interaction, social intelligence, emotional intelligence, and patterns of efficient and persuasive communication. Some of the names may sound familiar to you: behavioral neuroscience, neurobiology, in fact, cognitive, developmental, experimental, and evolutionary psychology, narratology, discourse studies, ethology, epigenetics, to mention some. The cumulative knowledge made up of the latest findings in these areas of study can boost your communication presentation skills dramatically and catapult your interaction, both formal and informal, to a whole new level. Conversely, overlooking science in these issues spells trouble, setbacks, slumps, underachievement, and eventual failure. At the same time, quite understandably though, many scientists dedicate all their time and effort to research. Bucking this trend, in a way, I once managed to step out of that circle, to educate the public, and to share this ample body of invaluable information with successful international companies who have a clear-cut agenda and ambitious, well-formulated long-term goals. You see, my workshops and seminars on business communication and public speaking are rooted in science. They're premised primarily upon scientific developments, alongside the tips and lessons from established performance artists. Besides, they are tailored to the individual aspirations, interests, and focus area of each company I'm working with, as well as customized for your specific purposes and your communicative needs. As Patricia Free puts it, in the 21st century, communication skills and public speaking abilities are not a luxury nor a dessert for a international, successful, ambitious international company. It is a must. It is a matter of life or death. So each aspiring international company hires speech coaches and needs speech coaching badly. Now, are you an aspiring, successful company? Are you seeking a competitive edge? You don't want to be merely local players and mediocre babblers, do you? Do you want to be internationally acclaimed speakers and articulate business people? If so, then stop squandering your time and money on pseudo-intellectual motivational gibberish. Instead, opt for the real, serious stuff you and your company are badly in need of. You can sign up right now for one of our workshops or seminars, book me or my associates to speak for your company, to enjoy the result later, to reap the benefits afterwards. Now, do we guarantee the positive outcome, or I'd raise the stakes even higher, do I personally guarantee the positive outcome? Sure, I do. Importantly, it's guaranteed not so much by a printed certificate as by science itself. Because science, ultimately, isn't about what fantasizes to be true. It's about what proves to be true. Science isn't about what purports to work. It's about what does work. And remember, unable to speak means unable to articulate sounds and words. So you can speak. You only need to internalize and later constantly hone your communication and presentation skills. I've come to the Republic of Ukraine precisely for that purpose, to help you do that. I'll show you how your speaking can be both pleasurable and profitable.